Hi everybody, this is Kristen. Welcome to part one of how to train and register your service dog. Today we're going to talk about picking your dog. You need to decide on what you need the dog for, what you want to use the dog for, and that will determine basically the size of the dog you're going to need. If you're like me and you need a balanced dog, Poppy, you're going to want a dog like Poppy. What's Mama got? What's Mama got? Come here. Getting him off the couch can be a trick. That's Poppy. He's my big boy. My permanently hungry boy. He is a Great Dane. He weighs about 150 pounds right now, and he's not quite 2 years old, so he'll probably gain another 10-20 pounds or so. And you feel like every pound of it when he steps on your feet. If you do want a balanced dog, you are going to have to be, how do I put it, masterful enough to handle a large dog. Poppy, if he really wanted to, could yank my arm clear out of the socket. I know he won't, but that's only because we've gone through extensive training and he knows when Mama gets mad, all hell breaks loose. So, you have to decide if you can handle a dog this size. No more, Pop. That's it, buddy. He says, I knew there were more. But you can also use a service dog to help you pick things up off the floor. You know, if you drop something, how much of a hassle is it to get down and pick it up? No matter what you use the dog for, the training is basically the same. It's the same theory behind all the training. But before you get to that, you need to decide what you want the dog to do. And that will dictate the size of the dog. Other than the size, the next most important thing is the temperament. A service dog has to be very easygoing. Everywhere I go with Poppy, we get mobbed. Everybody wants to take his picture, everybody wants to pet him, and as he's not a guide dog, but a balanced dog, I allow that. Now, whether you allow it, that's up to you, but people are going to want to, if it's a large dog especially, people are going to want to take his picture, people are going to want to pet him, people are going to want to know all about him. My husband wants to print up a whole list of, you know, he eats this much, he weighs this much, he's this old, and just staple it to his coat so people will stop asking the same questions over and over. Personally, I don't mind. I don't get out much, so talking to people is actually a good thing for me. But they can't be easily shaken, and that includes kids running up screaming. The best way to test for this when you go to pick a dog is get a little tin and put pennies or rocks or something like that in it. Drop it behind the dog. Now the dog's going to be startled. Any dog will be startled. But if he turns around and sniffs it, that's a good thing. It means he's not intimidated by it. If he turns around and growls, that's a problem. If he runs and hides, that's a problem. Temperament is very important. This next point I can't stress enough. Please don't go to a breeder. Go to your local shelter. If you go to a breeder, a lot of times you're going to have a lot of health problems with the dog. Breeders, especially when they breed for show, for AKC quality, they do a lot of inbreeding. You end up with heart problems, skin problems, joint problems. You don't want a dog that's sicker than you are. Trust me on this one. However, you can get some really good dogs at a local shelter. Now, they don't have to be purebred. Poppy just happens to be a Great Dane because, well, I was foolish enough to think, well, we have a Great Dane. She's not fixed. We'll have one litter and that'll be it. We didn't know the litter would include 10 surviving puppies. We are very lucky in that we bred her with the dog down the street, and she comes from a different area of the country. Our normally Great Danes from a breeder will live 6 to 8 years. Our vet said we can expect 8 to 12. None of them have heart problems, none of them have hip problems, and really we were more lucky than anything else. I don't recommend doing that. Not only that, but they ate holes in my walls. I won't go into that here. So, go to your local shelter. If you need a big dog, ask about the heredity of the dog. What kind of, is it a crossbreed? What is it a crossbreed of? I mean, they may not be able to tell you exactly, but they'll give you a good idea of what size dog you're looking at when they're full grown. The last thing you need to do before you actually start working yourself with your dog is take yourself and your dog through a basic obedience class. And that's not so much to teach the dog as it is to teach you how to handle the dog. The dog knows what to do. You just know how to ask it. And if you want any other information or tips, I highly recommend watching Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. I use a lot of his techniques. They work wonderfully. They have trained Poppy for me to a T. So we'll get into that when we go into actual training of the dogs versus just picking one out. And I think that will be the end of part 1. Okay then. See you on Facebook.